Magandang umaga po sa lahat ng mga criminology cadets from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, sa lahat po ng professors, mga lecturers natin in various review centers nationwide. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, sa mga kadete po natin who will be taking the criminologist licensure examination, pati na po yung mga estudyante pa lang from first year to fourth year po. Welcome sa Big Queno YouTube channel po natin. I'd like to inform everybody po na lahat po ng ginagawa po natin, huwag po kayong magtanong if our discussion is aligned with the latest TOS. Nako, naka-align na po. Lahat po ng recorded discussions po natin online, I tell you, naka-align na po lahat yan ha. Naka-align na po lahat sa latest table of specification. So please, refrain from asking kung naka-align ba ito ha. So, if in case you wanted to grab a copy of the latest TOS, chat nyo na lang ako by details po sa description ng video. You can chat me personally through Facebook. I can give you for free po yung TOS, and kindly check po yung mga review materials nyo po kung naka-align din sa latest table of specification. Now mga kadete, this is episode 2. Tapos na po tayo sa episode 1, yung mga preliminary topics. But for those persons na new viewers lang po, kindly check yung episode 1. Kailangan po ang review po natin is kompleto. Kompleto po dapat. So starting from episode 1, I am planning to put all the topics into 4 episodes. Pasensya na po, we have to put it into 4 episodes kasi number 1, dapat comprehensive. Number 2, napakaraming topics po sa Criminal Law Book 1. So kailanganing i-divide po natin ang topics into 4 episodes. Rest assured mga kadete that it will be comprehensive. I will do my best po para maintindihan nyo yung mga topics under this subject. Now, give me a short time mga kadete to promote again. Allow me to promote again yung Big Queno review materials po natin. Ang libro po that is already aligned with the latest table of specification. Salamat po sa nag-avail. Marami na po ang nag-avail. I think we already, as of now, as of this date, I think ang nag-avail po is around 500 to 600 na po ang mga estudyante na nag-avail. And there are a lot of testimonies po na nakapasa because of this material. So pag nag-avail po kayo, nakatulong kayo kasi po yung revenue po na nakukuha natin out of the selling of the books, some of the amount will be donated po sa mga dialysis patients. So sa lahat po na nag-avail, thank you so much po. And then yung hindi nag-skip ng ads, thank you so much. Tinutulungan nyo po ako to earn a revenue po para at least we can also help other people, yung mga dialysis patients po na sinusuportahan po natin. So ito po, Big Queno review materials, kompleto na po yan in all 6 major areas in criminology. Lahat po ng mga subjects, kompleto po ng review materials yan. Align na din sa TOS. Pangalawa, yung volume to sa libro na yan na nakakompile is Q&A. Question and answer portion po na naka-align na din po sa TOS. At the same time, ito po ang mga tanong that came out in the previous criminologist licensure examination. Lastly, I'd like to promote mga ma'am and mga sir, yung mga review lecturers po natin, yung mga professors na walang PowerPoint presentation, walang PDF copy sa lahat po ng subjects. You can actually send me a personal message. In just a minimal amount po, I will give you the PDF file. Pag wala po kayong PowerPoint, ay bigay ko po yung PowerPoint file po in just in exchange of a minimal amount. Yung again, proceeds po natin dito, yung revenue po, tinutulong po natin sa kapwa natin. Okay? Alright? So again, episode 2 na po ito mga kadets. I'd like to start with the stages in the execution of crime. Okay. Now, para mas maintindihan mga kadete, what I did is to chunk the definition into various elements para mas madaling maintindihan. Unahin po natin attempted stage Pag attempted stage po, unang element dyan, yung offender, sinimulan. When we say commences, sinimulan yung pag-perform ng act. Ang act po dapat overt Ano ibig sabihin ng overt? Overt, ibig sabihin, these are acts performed externally or demonstrated externally. Kasi pag internal yan, for example, pinapatay mo yung professor mo through your mind 100 times, nako, it cannot be considered as an overt act. So therefore, hindi po yan krimen. Ang kailanganin po dito is overt act. Okay? So dapat po sinimulan yung paggawa ng krimen using or through an overt act. Pangalawa, yung acts po necessary to constitute a felony, not all of it are performed. Okay po? Hindi po lahat ng acts necessary to constitute a felony were performed. So hindi lahat. In frustrated stage, it's the opposite. Kasi sa opposite, you commences in the performance of the act. So lahat po ng acts na kailanganin po to produce a felony were performed. Pero sa attempted stage, hindi po lahat ng acts were performed. I repeat, sa attempted stage, not all of the acts were performed. Pero sa frustrated stage po, lahat po ng acts necessary to constitute a felony were performed po. Na-perform po lahat. Now, balik tayo sa attempted stage. Pangatlong element, his acts are not stopped by his own spontaneous desistance. Ano ba ibig sabihin nito? Meaning, pagsimula po ng pag-commit ng krimen, dapat po hindi huminto yung tao in the commission thereof. So, for example, if you want to stab somebody, you took your knife out from your pocket, pero yung superego mo hindi kinayanan, you're about to stab the person, pero yung sabi ng superego, you should not do it, so ginawa mo, huminto ka, nag-back out ka. Ang question, may krimen ba? The answer is no. Wala po, kasi po, ang kailanganin po sa third element, dapat po, wala or hindi po, hindi ka huminto. Your acts are not stopped by your own spontaneous desistance. Okay? So, attempted stage again, sinimulan mo ang pag-commit ng krimen. Hindi lahat ng acts necessary to constitute a felony were performed. Pangatlo, you do not desist personally. Okay? Balik tayo sa frustrated stage. Ang sabi ko po kanina, lahat po ng acts were performed. Pero, kahit na-perform po ang lahat ng acts necessary to constitute a felony, walang felony na nangyari. Walang krimen na nangyari. Bakit walang krimen? Walang krimen kasi may factor, may cause, may reason independent of the will of the perpetrator. For example, binaril mo yung tao, natamaan sa ulo. Automatic, di ba? Pag head po yan, vital organ po. Nandyan po ang brain that can cause death. Pero by miracle, yung tao nakasurvive. You perform all the acts, pero ang nangyari, the person was able to survive on the lethal injury. So basically, yung survival niya po, yung nangyari, that he survived from that injury, can be considered under the frustrated stage. Ang pangatlo, yung tinatawag natin consummated stage. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng acts were performed and then may felony na nangyari. Yung accomplishment ng acts are present. Okay? Binaril mo, natamaan sa ulo, napatay yung tao. It's basically under consummated stage. Okay? So, I hope you understand yung attempted, frustrated, at saka yung consummated stage. Next, ito po ang board exam question na lumabas ha. Ang situation ganito. In the jewelry section of a big department store, Julia snatched a couple of bracelets and put this in her purse. At the store's exit, however, she was arrested by the guard after being radioed by the store personnel who caught the act in the store's moving camera. Is the crime consummated, frustrated, or attempted? So kung titingnan nyo po, ang nangyari dito, nagnakaw po sa jewelry shop. Okay? So si Julia po, nag-snatch ng bracelets. Pero, while the bracelets were in the possession of Julia, it so happened that he was caught and he was arrested. Question right now, consummated ba, frustrated ba, or attempted? Ang sagot po dito, hindi frustrated, hindi attempted. Ang sagot po is consummated. Bakit po consummated? Consummated in the sense that all the acts necessary to constitute a felony were performed. Okay? Were performed. So in this case, remember po sa board examination, tricky po yung question. So in this case po, consummated in the sense that the taking of the bracelets was already considered to be complete. Bakit naging complete? Naging kompleto po after Julia succeeded in putting them inside the purse. Okay? Nung nailagay na po niya sa purse niya, the accomplishments of the acts were, all of it were performed. So, in this case, if you take a look at the scenario po, si Julia acquired complete control of the bracelets after putting the bracelets inside the purse. So, the taking with intent to gain is complete and thus the crime is considered to be consummated. Hindi po yan frustrated ha, hindi frustrated. Now, pag on the act of stealing naman, let's say for example, wala pa sa bulsa, wala pa sa purse ni Julia and he was caught. So basically, it can be under the frustrated stage. Okay? So yan po. Now, another situation that I'd like to bring up. Okay? Another board exam question. Ito. Maria is a manager of the Chinelas Trade Company. As an employee, she was able to learn the safety vault combination. One Sunday evening, she went to the vault to steal the money placed inside. Upon opening, she found it empty. For what crime? Is she liable of attempted, frustrated, consummated, or robbery? So si Maria, manager po. So, isang araw po, pumunta siya sa vault. Nilagay yung vault combination, gusto niya to steal the money inside. Pero unfortunately, she discovered na wala palang pera. There's no money inside the vault. So the question right now, anong stage po ba? Attempted, frustrated, consummated, or robbery? Automatic yung robbery is discounted. Bakit hindi frustrated stage? Kasi nga po walang pera dyan walang nakuhang pera. Maria in this scenario was not able to take possession of the money. So, hindi po frustrated, lalo nang hindi po consummated. So, basically, ang tamang sagot po is attempted state. Take note po, mga kadete, nag-prepare po ng criminologist licensure examination in the future. Mga questions po sa CLJ, sa lahat po ng mga major areas, may mga tricky questions po dyan. So, ang importante, you rationalize first before you select the best answer. Yan po ang importante. Rationalization comes first before shading. Last example mga kadets. This is another tricky question in the board examination. Ito po ang situation. Juan had a grudge with Pedro. One night, si Juan hid himself in the bushes and when Pedro passed, fired his gun. So when Pedro passed, ginawa niya, he pulled the trigger. And then Pedro was hit on the left shoulder. Pedro survived. What stage is the execution? Attempted, frustrated, or consummated? Ang choices ngayon is could either be attempted or frustrated. May mga estudyante po tayo, ang answer is frustrated. Mali. Mali po. Ang tamang sagot is attempted. Sir, tanong, bakit po ba hindi siya frustrated na tamaan po yung biktima? Hindi po siya frustrated in the sense that yung injury po, left shoulder on the left shoulder. Yung injury po is not enough to cause death. Ibig sabihin, ang lethality po, hindi po lethal, hindi po deadly, ang injury suffered by the victim. Pero pag ang injury is considered to be lethal or deadly, for example, when Juan fired a gun, natamaan si Pedro, let's say sa chest part, question, pag natamaan ka sa chest part, is it considered as lethal? The answer is yes. The wound is considered to be deadly. So basically, pag nakasurvive yung tao, yan po ang intervening factor. Pag nakasurvive ka, may intervening factor na kasurvive ka, then the stage of the crime is considered to be frustrated. Pero in this case, Nako, abrasion lang on the left shoulder, ha? On the left shoulder lang. It's just a minor injury. So basically, the wound is not considered to be lethal or deadly. So in this case, hindi po siya magiging prostrated but rather considered as attempted. Another, what if si Juan, when he fired the gun, hindi natamaan si Pedro? Anong stage? Attempted pa din po. Pero natamaan siya, and the wound is considered to be lethal or deadly, automatic, frustrated pag nakasurvive. Pag ang wound is something that caused death on Juan, basically, magiging consummated. Pero in this case again, in this scenario, dapat po ha, mga kadete, tricky question po ito. Ang answer po natin is considered as attempted po. Bakit? Kasi po, ang wound is not considered to be lethal or deadly. It is not enough to cause death of the person. I hope naintindihan po natin ang attempted, frustrated, and consummated. Again, ang technique po natin, rationalize po muna yung mga choices ha, mga kadete, before you select the best answer. You rationalize first ha. Yan po ang technique. Now, crimes which are not in frustrated and attempted stages. Okay? Crimes na hindi po siya frustrated, hindi po siya attempted. Meaning, ito po ang mga krimen na walang frustrated, na walang attempted. Automatic, it can be considered as consummated by the commission thereof. So ito po ang una. Offense is punishable by special penal laws unless the law provides otherwise. So pag ang batas po is special penal law po ang tawag, itong mga Republic Acts. Again, sa episode 1 po na-discuss ko ang pinagkaiba ng special law at saka yung special penal law. Ang special penal law po, ito po yung mga special laws that defines a particular crime and then it provides punishment of that crime. For example, Republic Act 9165, the Comprehensive Dangerous Drug Act, is an example of a special penal law. So pag nasa special penal law po siya, wala po siyang frustrated, wala po siyang attempted, automatic consummated po. Pag nag-sell ka ng drugs, if you are transacting or if you are having a transaction with somebody, you are selling drugs, basically wala pong attempted and frustrated po yan. As a violation under Republic Act 9165. Unless if ang special penal law provides for the attempted or frustrated stages. Pangalawa, formal crimes. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng formal crimes? Ito po ang mga krimen na automatic, it becomes consummated in just one instance. Diba? Sa Introduction to Criminology, may classification of crimes po tayo. And isa po sa category dyan is yung according to stages. Ang formal crimes automatic consummated in one instance. Yung opposite po ng formal crimes, if you can still remember po, pag natandaan nyo po, ang opposite po ng formal crimes yung tinatawag nating material crimes. Pag ang formal crime, automatic in one instance, automatic consummated. Ang material crimes, may attempted, may frustrated, may consummated. Meaning, may 3 stages po. Okay? Diba? Intro to crime ha? Material crimes, may 3 stages. Formal crimes, isang stage lang po yan, consummated. For example, adultery. May attempted adultery ba? May frustrated adultery ba? Wala. Automatic, consummated yan. Slander. Slander has no attempted. It has no frustrated stages. Okay? So, automatic, formal crimes, consummated in one instance, walang attempted, walang frustrated. Pangalawa, itong tinatawag nating impossible crimes as discussed po sa episode 1. Okay? Impossible crimes. For example, gusto mong patayin yung tao. Binaril mo for several times only to find out that the person was already dead. Patay na po siya. So basically, there is no murder. It becomes part of impossible crime. Or yung example ko po sa episode 1 po is yung gusto mong patayin yung tao, nilagay mo yung arsenic or yung poison sa drink niya only to find out na inilagay mo pala was only a sugar. Can it be considered as part of murder? Attempted ba? Consummated? O frustrated murder? Hindi po. Impossible crime po kasi nga po yung sugar is not enough to cause death. It is not something that can cause death. So yung mga ganyan, impossible crime has no attempted, has no frustrated, stages. Pangapat, crimes consummated by mere attempt. For example, attempt to flee an enemy country, treason, corruption of minors, automatic consummated po yan. Wala pong attempted, walang frustrated. Felonies by omission. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng omission? These are our responsibilities, but we omit or we fail to perform or to meet those responsibilities. For example, di ba responsibility po natin, if we see somebody who is dying on the verge of death, di ba ang responsibility po natin is to render assistance? Pero when somebody was asking for your help on the verge of death, you did not extend assistance. So basically, it's a felony by omission. Responsibility po natin to pay taxes, but we do not pay. We did not pay our taxes. Basically, it's a felony by omission. Walang attempted, walang frustrated. Pang-anim, yung last, crimes committed by mere agreement. For example, beating in sports, di ba? Yung nagpostahan kayo, corruption of public office. These are basically examples of number 6 na wala again na frustrated and wala pong attempted stages. Ang tanong ngayon, which is the subject for a lot of debate in the academy, ang arson. Ang arson ba may attempted, may frustrated, at may consummated stage? May mga review centers kasi dyan, I'm sorry to say this, na nagsasabi ang arson po, attempted lang at consummated, walang frustrated. Wala daw frustrated arson. When I take a look in Facebook, may post po doon, ang sabi po, walang frustrated arson sa Pilipinas. But he was mentioning about a particular case, US versus Valdez. Ang sabi niya po, yung US versus Valdez, ma-apply lang po yan doon sa US, in the American soil. Hindi po yan nangyari sa Pilipinas. Mali. Mali po yan. Ang tamang sagot po, mayroon pong frustrated arson. Ang arson po is considered as a material crime kasi po may frustrated, may attempted, may consummated stages po yan. Mali po ang magsabi or it is wrong to say na ang arson po walang frustrated stage. Kasi po, yung na-mention po sa Facebook na US versus Valdez, if we read the case, pagbasahin po natin ang kaso, it is a case po na nangyari hindi po sa Amerika but it happened here in the Philippines. Only that, yung US po is the petitioner of the case. Okay? Somebody, an American citizen. Pero si Valdez was considered as a Pinoy. Nangyari po yan here in the Philippines po, decided by the Supreme Court. So mali po. It is wrong to say na walang frustrated stage. Believe me mga kadete po, if you want to verify po, kindly take a look on US versus Valdez and tell me if I am wrong or not. Mali po to say that there is no frustrated arson. Next, crimes which do not admit of frustrated stage. O ito po ang walang frustrated stage. Ito ang walang frustrated stage. Take note, cadets. Una, rape. Wala po yan. Bribery, wala po. Corruption of public officers, wala din. Adultery, wala din. Physical injury, wala din po yung frustrated stage. Okay? So yan po So again, I hope that is very clear mga kadete. Next, 2 stages in the development of crime. Una, internal acts. Pangalawa, external. Again, pag internal acts po, example, mere ideas of the mind, hindi po siya punishable For example again, may galit ka sa professor kasi yung professor mo napaka-instricto. Napaka-instricto but during the discussion, hindi maintindihan pag nagdi-discuss. So, basically, it's you want to murder him by using your mind. Diba? Pag nag-discuss yung teacher, nagbigay ng instruction, pinapatay mo through your mind 100 times. Can it be considered as punishable? Again, it is an internal act. Ang kailanganin po kasi is for the act to be considered as a felony, dapat po it has to be performed externally. Okay? Dapat overt act hindi covert or hindi internal. So, sa external acts, dalawa po. Una, preparatory. Pangalawa, acts of execution. Ang preparatory po is generally not punishable. Not punishable generally. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na walang krimen na pag preparatory pa lang, automatic hindi siya punishable. May mga krimen actually na during its stage of preparation pwede na pong ma-considered as punishable. Example po nito is possession of pickaxe and similar tools. May possession ka pa lang, di ba? Possession ng pickaxe. Basically, in this case, you are not committing robbery or you're not committing theft. May possession ka lang. In your possession, pickaxe. In that case, punishable po yan. Pero yung ibang krimen like let us say for example, you are preparing yourself to punch Juan de la Cruz. You are trying to master all the courage and the bravery that you have to punch somebody. The act of preparation thereof is not basically punishable. Pero again, pickaxe automatic position thereof is considered as punishable. Another example, yung possession of drug paraphernalias. You are not committing a crime but you are just in possession thereof. It's basically an example of preparatory acts that are punishable. Pangalawa, acts of execution punishable under the RPC. Ano ba itong acts of execution? Yung ginawa muna po. Yung you perform the act externally. Okay? Next, when light felonies are punishable. Light felonies are punishable only when they have been consummated. Klarong-klaro po yan. With the exception of those committed against persons or property. Ang tanong, kailan po magiging light ang isang felony? Dapat po, memorize na po natin mga kadete, especially yung magre-review yung magtitake ng board examination, memorize na po natin Arresto minor up to reclusion perpetua. Balik po tayo. Arresto minor, that's 1 day to 30 days or 1 day to 1 month. Sunod ng arresto minor is arresto mayor. Arresto mayor is basically 1 month and 1 day. Dapat may 1 day yan 1 month and 1 day to 6 months. Sunod, prison correctional 6 months and 1 day to 6 years. Sunod, prison mayor, that's 6 years and 1 day to 12 years. Sunod, reclusion temporal. That's 12 years and 1 day to 20 years. Ang yung pinaka-last, yung reclusion perpetua is 20 years and 1 day to 40 years. Pag aresto minor, light felony. Okay? Light felony aresto minor. Ibig sabihin, aresto minor po or yung mga krimen punishable by aresto minor is basically considered as a light felony. Yung mga krimen punishable by aresto mayor to prison correctional, tinatawag po siyang less grave felonies or correctional penalties. Okay? Less grave or correctional penalties ang tawag. Pag from prison mayor up to reclusion perpetua, ang tawag po dyan grave felonies. Grave felonies or ang tawag po dito is afflictive penalties. Afflictive penalties or grave felonies. Okay? So I hope na-memorize na po yan mga kadete So kailan po magiging light ang isang felony? Pag punishable po ang isang felony ng arresto minor. Exception po dito mga kadete, huwag kalimutan crimes against property and crimes against persons. So magiging punishable po kahit light felony. But other than that, pwede po walang punishment pag light lang po. Okay? Sunod, conspiracy and proposal to commit felony. Ito, lumabas ito sa board examination. Conspiracy and proposal. Kailan po may mangyayaring conspiracy? May conspiracy po pag 2 or more persons come to an agreement concerning the commission of a felony and decide to commit it. Ilan po ang persons involved? At least 2. Klaro yan At least 2 mga kadete ang kailanganin. Pag 3, may conspiracy ba? O mayroon. Kasi nakalagay dyan is 2 or more. Pag 4 or 5, pwede. Kasi po ang nakalagay dyan 2 or more. Napaka-easy po. So, may mga krimen po na pag may conspiracy or may proposal, hindi po siya punishable. May mga krimen din na kahit nasa stage pa lang ng conspiracy and proposal, automatic punishable na po siya. Okay, sabi dito, conspiracy and proposal to commit felony are punishable only in the cases in which the law specially provides a penalty thereof. So, ang sabi ko po, may mga krimen na nasa stage pa lang ng conspiracy and proposal, punishable na. Meron din pong mga krimen na kahit may conspiracy and proposal, hindi pa din siya po punishable. For example, let us say, conspiracy to commit treason. Nasa point of agreement pa lang kayo, automatic punishable na po yan, yung conspiracy to commit treason. Pero let us say, conspiracy, or let us say, proposal to commit slight physical injury. Let us say, Pedro and Juan had a verbal agreement na suntukin nila si Jose. Question, on the point of that conspiracy or proposal to commit the felony, is it considered as punishable? The answer is no. Okay? Kasi wala naka-provide dyan eh. Pero, example again, yung proposal to commit treason, nakalagay kasi dyan sa book 2 ng criminal law po natin. That conspiracy to commit treason is basically punishable. Pero pag wala pong batas na nag-provide for the penalty of that conspiracy for other crimes, automatic, wala pong punishment. I hope you understand po mga kadete. Alright? O ito balikan po natin yung mga less grave. It's just a repetition, 'di ba? Nakakaumay na. Pero mga kadete, I have to repeat this over and over and over again. Especially para po sa mga nagre-review for the upcoming criminologist licensure exam. Okay? Bakit po kailanganing i-classify into grave felonies, less grave, and light felonies? Number 1, to determine whether the felonies can be complex or not. Number 2, to determine the prescription of the crime and of the penalty. So again, grave felonies afflictive penalties po. Ang grave felonies or afflictive penalties, ito po 6 years and 1 day to reclusion perpetua. Ibig sabihin, from prison mayor to reclusion perpetua. Less grave correctional penalties, ang tawag po, 1 month and 1 day to 6 years. Ibig sabihin, from Arresto mayor up to prison correctional. Light felonies, arresto minor, 1 day to 30 days. So again, that's a repetition As to the liability of the participants in a grave, less grave, or light felony. Ito, dapat pong tandaan. When the felony is grave or less grave, all participants are criminally liable. Okay? Lahat po ng participants dyan, whether you are a principal, whether you are an accessory, whether you are an accomplice of the crime, automatic, dapat po you should be punished. Kasi po, ang felony is considered as a grave or less grave felony. Pero again, ang sabi ko po kanina, but where the felony is only light, only the principal and the accomplice are liable and the accessory is not. Ano ba ang exception dito? Ang exception is those committed against persons or against property. Okay? Very understandable po yung discussion po natin, So, salamat po sa nagsasubscribe, Yung mga viewers po natin, pag nagvo-view po kayo, click subscribe na lang po and probably comment and then para mas makatulong kayo makatulong kayo sa kapwa, makatulong kayo sa akin, at the same time you can help those persons who are preparing also for the board exam. I-share nyo po sa Facebook, Do not hesitate, do not be greedy. Kasi po lahat po ng videos natin libre hindi po there are a lot of YouTube channels out there that you have to pay an amount per month. You have to pay an amount just for you to get access with the video discussion. Pero lahat po ng video discussion natin libre na po So sa mga viewers po kindly subscribe. Okay. Circumstances that affect criminal liability. Ito, mga kadete, napakarami pong questions in the board examination that will come out from the circumstances that affect criminal liability. Napakarami pong tanong, believe me. Sa table of specification po, a lot of the questions will come out from this topic, okay? Dapat alam po natin ang justifying, mitigating, exempting, aggravating, alternating, yung mga circumstances. We will discuss it one by one, ha? Para at least po, makuha po natin. Now, una ha, justifying circumstances. Ano ba itong justifying circumstances? Act of a person is in accordance with the law, such that the said person is deemed not to have violated the law. Ibig sabihin, yung action po, yung overt act is basically criminal in nature. Yung nagawa niya is criminal in nature. But it is in accord. The problem there is it is in accordance with the law. So you cannot punish the person because the act he performed is in consonance with the law. For example, we have number 1, self-defense. Pangalawa, defense of relatives. Pangatlo, defense of stranger. Anong ibig sabihin ng defense of stranger? Above 4th civil degree. Number 4, official duty. Yung PNP po natin, yung Armed Forces of the Philippines po, basically in their official duty, there might be instances that they have to shoot somebody. So it's part of justifying circumstances. Number 5, any person who acts in obedience to an order issued by superior for some lawful purpose. For example, let us say during hostage-taking situation. Let us say, yung nangyari po sa Quirino Grandstand, di ba? There was an order to shoot the hostage-taker. Basically, it's under justifying circumstances. I'd like to go back on self-defense, defense of relatives, and defense of strangers. Ang situation po ganito, Jose, who was the second cousin of Juan, was able to defend Juan from Pedro, who was the attacker. So, ibig sabihin, si Pedro po was the attacker in that situation. Ang subject po of the attack was Juan. Pero andyan po si Jose. Jose was, let's say, expert on mixed martial arts to the point that the attacker was killed on that incident. Si Pedro died. So, basically, si Jose was able to defend Juan, his second cousin on that occasion. So, ang tanong ngayon, anong klaseng defense? Self-defense, defense of relatives, or defense of strangers? Ang pinakamalapit po na sagot dyan, it could be defense of relatives, or number 2, defense of strangers. Pero, ang dapat po natin tandaan, mga kadets, ganito po ha, ang defense of stranger po is those persons above the 4th civil degree. At the opposite, yung defense of relatives naman are those persons within the 4th civil degree of consanguinity or affinity. Ano ibig sabihin dito? Kung titingnan nyo po sa slide, ang 4th civil degree are those persons who are, number 1, great-grandparent, great-aunt, uncle, or aunties, first cousin, grandniece, or nephew. Yung first degree, parent and child. Second degree, grandparent, brother, sister, grandchild. Third degree, great-grandparent, uncle, aunt, niece, nephew, great. Basically, makikita nyo po sa slide na ang second cousin is not within the 4th civil degree. So, in that occasion, kasi po napatay yung attacker, and Jose was able to defend his second cousin Juan from the attacker, ang sagot po is not defense of a relative but rather defense of stranger. Kasi po yung relationship ni Juan and ni Jose, automatic stranger na po kasi yung second cousin is above the 4th civil degree. Ang 4th civil degree will only extend up to first cousin. Okay? So yan po ang question sa board. I hope naintindihan na. So, self-defense, defense of strangers, defense of relatives, official duty, any person who act in obedience to a lawful order are justifying circumstances. Now, let us go back to self-defense, okay? Let us go back to self-defense. Now, To say that there is self-defense, dapat these following elements should be present. Number 1, itong tinatawag nating unlawful aggression. Dapat may unlawful aggression. So, ang unlawful aggression is considered to be an indispensable requirement. It's a vital requirement po in the principle of self-defense. There must be actual physical assault or aggression or an immediate and imminent threat which must be offensive and positively strong. The defense must have been made during the existence of aggression, otherwise it is no longer justifying. So ibig sabihin, dapat may attack po na nangyari, and the assault or the physical assault or aggression is considered to be something that can cause an imminent threat. If the situation is that binato ka po ng tinapay, binato ka ng tinapay, so ginawa mo, kumuha ka ng faran, binaril mo yung nagbato siya yung ng tinapay, is it considered as something that is positively strong? Is the act considered to be something that gives an imminent threat? The answer is no. In that case, there is no self-defense. Ang basihan po kasi dito, dapat po may assault siya, may aggression, or may imminent threat, and these factors should be considered as very offensive and positively strong. Throwing a piece of bread might be considered as an act of aggression, but it is not considered as very strong. It is not considered as an act that will give you imminent threat. So pag binaril mo, it's not basically part of self-defense. Next, while generally an agreement to fight does not constitute unlawful aggression, violation of the terms of the agreement to fight is considered as an exemption. Diba? May mga sports pa tayo, UFC, boxing, fist fight, so on and so forth. These sports are very deadly. May mga terms of agreement po yan. Isa po sa mga terms is not kicking or is not punching on the sexual organ of the competitor o yung fighter. So basically, kicking or punching yung sexual organ is considered as unlawful aggression. Bakit po? Bakit po siya na-consider na unlawful aggression? Because it's already a deviation from the terms of agreement. So yun po, unlawful aggression, yan po ang unang requirement sa self-defense. Dapat may unlawful aggression. Pangalawa, reasonable necessity of the means employed to prevent or repel the unlawful aggression. So, kailanganin po, dapat may pangangailangan na dapat pong gawin, may mga means that you have to employ in order to prevent or to repel the unlawful aggression of the attacker. Okay? Test of reasonableness depends on the weapon used by the aggressor. Test of reasonableness po yan. Yung weapon used by the aggressor. For example, let us say, si Pedro, police officer, si Juan, yung attacker. In the position of Pedro, who is a police officer, a firearm. Tapos yung position ng attacker is only a small stick. And he wanted to whip the police officer with a stick. Binaril ng police officer na si Pedro. Ang question, yung weapon na ginamit by the aggressor, is it considered to be a reasonable factor in providing a means to repel it? The answer is no. Yung isa is just a stick, yung sayo is firearm. So basically, ikis ka sa number 1, weapon used by the aggressor. Pero let us turn it the other way around. Yung aggressor, ginamit niya firearm, tapos yung police officer may firearm. In that case, tabla, may reasonableness po. Okay? Pangalawa, physical condition, character, size, and other circumstances of aggressor. Yung size, yung physical size will also matter. For example, yung isa, 6 feet in height, yung isa is just 3 feet. So, basically, pag nagsuntukan yan, you cannot claim the reasonableness of the means that you employ. Pero let's say, pareho po yung height, or let us turn it the other way around. Yung isa is 5'4" lang yung height, yung isa is, let us say, 6 feet, tapos maskulado, Yung maskulado attacked the slender or yung thin individual, and he was able to repel it by killing the attacker. It can be self-defense. Next, number 3, physical condition, character, size, and circumstances of person defending himself. Kung ano po yung size, yung sabi ko po, size ng attacker, tsaka yung physical size po ng defender. Place and occasion of assault. Now, ang third requirement, dapat po lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself. Note, hindi po kailanganin ang perfect equality between the weapons used, nor material commensurability between the blah 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 blah. Ibig sabihin po, yung example ko kanina, di ba, yung isa naghahawak po na may hawak ng stick and is about to whip your ass. Ikaw may firearm ka, binaril mo kasi you think that there was an imminent danger or threat. Nako, hindi po pasok yan sa reasonableness ng means to repel the unlawful aggression. Hindi po siya reasonable. Basically, it does not constitute self-defense. Pero ipag-twist natin yung situation. Yung isa, hindi stick ang ginamit niya, but rather he's holding a bolo. Tapos, yung bolo po na hinawak niya, he's about to kill you. He has the intention to kill you by means of the bolo. Pero, you do not have the time to rationalize or to think about it kasi yung distansya, let us say 1 meter lang from the attacker and you. Tapos when about to strike you with the bolo, kumuha ka ng firearm mo, binaril mo siya. In that case, the person assaulted does not have sufficient opportunity or time to think and calculate. So basically, it can fall under self-defense. Okay? Pero let us just say again, stick lang. Yung unang situation, stick. Let us say, is about to attack you with a stick, a very small one. And then you draw your firearm and kill the person. May self-defense ba? Wala. Okay? So dapat po walang perfect. Although in the second example, hindi po perfectly equal yung weapon. Yung isa is a bolo, yung isa is firearm. But then again, wala ka na pong time to calculate or to think your options, considering the distance of the attacker and you. Okay? So, ayo pa, naintindihan po. So, basically, again, there are 3 elements po ng self-defense. Number 1, unlawful aggression. Pangalawa, reasonable necessity of the means employed to prevent or repel the unlawful aggression. And number 3, the lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself. Okay? Rights included in self-defense. Number 1, defense of person. Number 2, defense of rights protected by law. Number 3, defense of property only if there is also an actual and imminent danger on the person of the one defending it. Okay? Pwede po defense of property For example, may property ka and somebody wanted to take it and there is already an imminent danger on your part. For example, the person who want to take it has a firearm, so may imminent danger na. Or tinutukan ka ng firearm because he wanted that person to rob or to take money or property coming from you without your permission. Basically, it can fall part against under defense of property. And then we also have defense of chastity. Okay? Another kinds of self-defense. Self-defense of chastity, balikan po natin, self-defense of chastity, there must be an attempt to rape the victim. Okay? There must be an attempt to rape the victim. Pwede po, defense of property must be coupled with an attack on the person of the owner or on the one entrusted with the care of such property. Okay? Tinutukan ka ng baril because he wanted to take your money or take your jewelry or the person wanted to take your cell phone. Basically, defense of property po yan. Self-defense in libel, justified when the libel is aimed at a person's good name. Okay? So, again, mayroon po tayong self-defense of libel Justified po yan when the libel is aimed at a person's good name. Ano ba yung sabihin ng good name? Yung reputation po natin. Okay? Yung you have been humiliated in public and you wanted to protect your name, may self-defense po tayo in libel. Stand ground when in the right. Ay, ang principle po na ito, nagsasabi, the law does not require a person to retreat when his assailant is rapidly advancing upon him with a deadly weapon. Ang principle po na ito, stand ground when in the right. Okay? Note, Republic Act 9262 or Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004, victims, survivors who are found by the courts to be suffering from BWS or the battered woman syndrome do not incur any criminal or civil liability despite absence of the necessary elements for the justifying circumstances of self-defense. Kahit kulang-kulang po yung elements ng self-defense, basta battered woman syndrome, lusot po yan sa RPC. BWC is scientifically defined pattern or psychological and behavioral symptoms found in women living in battering relationship as a result of cumulative abuse. So, tapos na po tayo sa justifying circumstances. Yun po ang mga justifying circumstances that would justify the act of a person. Yung mga acts po na mga ito are in accordance with the law, so therefore the person should not be punished. Now, the second circumstances that affect criminal liability is yung tinatawag nating exempting circumstances. Bakit exempting? Because these are the circumstances or situations that could exempt any person from any criminal liability. Exempted po siya. Una, ang insanity or imbecility, under po yan sa exempting circumstances. May nagsasabi, under po sa justifying, mali. Under po siya sa exempting circumstances. Unless the latter has acted during a lucid interval. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng lucid interval, mga kadete? Diba? Yung lunatics, na mga individual or yung mga insanity, there are occasions na ang tao po is ma-restore yung psychological balance niya. Meaning, naging normal siya in some occasions. And in some other occasions, naging insane or naging suffering from insanity. In Cebuano, we call it a sumat-sumat or bulanon. In Cebuano. Ibig sabihin, there are occasions na nagiging okay ka psychologically and emotionally. May mga occasions na naging insane ka or lunatic ka. Pag during lucid interval, ibig sabihin, nasa normal state ka. Nasa normal state ka. Na-restore yung psychological and emotional aspects mo. Nasa normal state ka. And you committed a crime, basically, you have to be punished. Pero pag wala po sa lucid interval, ibig sabihin, you're suffering from insanity, hindi ka normal during the commission of the crime, imbecile ka during the commission thereof, automatic exempted po from any criminal liability. Again, ano bang ibig sabihin ng lucid interval? Lucid interval, ibig sabihin nasa normal state po yung tao. Okay? Pag nasa normal state, na-commit ng crime, automatic punishable. Pero pag wala sa normal state, ibig sabihin nasa insanity state or nagiging lunatic state, automatic exempted. Okay? When the imbecile or insane person has committed an act which the law defines as a felony, ang korte po will order for that person in a confinement in a hospital. Okay? Yung mental hospital po or in a asylum established for that person. Tapos, hindi po siya pwedeng mag-leave without the permission from the same court. Pangalawang exempted, mga bata, child as defined under Republic Act 9344. Tanong, what is the definition of child under 9344? Ang definition po dyan, below 18. Ano ba yung mga edad or ages below 18? 17 and below. Pero, take note, hindi po lahat ng below 18 is considered to be exempted. I repeat, hindi po lahat ng below 18 is considered to be exempted. Okay? Ang exempted po ito. Minor, 15 years and below, is exempted from criminal liability. Ano po ba ang edad dyan? Ano po ba ang age? 15 anyos, 15 years old and below, automatic exempted. Second, minor over 15 but below 18 who acted without discernment is exempted from criminal liability. Pangalawang bracket, 15 years old and 1 day to 17. Okay? 15 years old and 1 day to 17, exempted po siya pag walang discernment. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng discernment? Is the mental capacity to fully appreciate the consequences of the unlawful act, which is shown by, number 1, manner of the crime was committed, number 2, conduct of the offender after its commission. For example, ni-rape mo yung tao, pag rape mo, you dismembered the body parts, yung ulob, inilibing mo sa isang barangay, yung paa, inilibing mo on the other barangay. It's basically part of discernment. Kasi po, ang discernment as defined or as that will be determined by the court should be shown by means of, number 1, yung manner of the commission of the crime. Number 2, yung conduct ng offender after its commission. For example, after raping somebody, he just showed to the public as if it was just okay to commit a crime. Parang walang remorse on the part of the offender. So basically, may discernment po. So, 15 years old and 1 day to 17, automatic exempted ka pag walang discernment. Minor over 15 but below 18 who acted with discernment may have or may incur criminal liability. Yan po ang sabi ko. Not all 17 and below are considered to be exempted. Kasi dalawa lang po yan. Una, 15 years old and below. Pangalawa, 15 years old and 1 day to 17 years old but acted without discernment. Okay? So yun po. Next, aside from insanity, imbecility, and child, another exempted is, number 3, any person who, while performing a lawful act with due care, causes an injury by mere accident without fault or intention of causing it. For example, a person is performing a lawful act with due care. May pag-iingat po. But he causes injury to another by mere accident without fault or intention of causing it. That the offender had no intention to commit so grave a wrong as that committed. Question, ano po ba ang circumstances ng mga ito? Automatic exempting. Another example, let's say you leave the candle burning kasi nag-burn out. Nakatulog ka and it so happened the candle conflagrated fire. From your building to other buildings, can you be liable for arson? The answer is no. Okay? Kasi po, it's just an accident. Okay? It happened by an accident. Pero kailangan ang tao should be proven that he exercised due care in the performance of the act. Or unless pag walang pag-iingat po na makikita, pwede pong ma-fall dyan under negligence or reckless imprudence. Okay? Sunod. Number 4 is any person who act under the compulsion of irresistible force. Ano ba yung sabihin ng irresistible force? The offender uses violence or physical force to compel another person to commit a crime. For example, sinabihan ka ng isang sindikato to hid the dead body of the person. And you do not have a choice kasi nga po may irresistible force. If you will not follow, there might be an instance that you will be the next who will be murdered. In that case, exempting circumstance po yan. Pero ang elements po dito, ganito ha. Physical force po yung una. Pangalawa, physical force must be irresistible. Pangatlo, the physical force must come from a third person. Force must be irresistible so as to reduce the individual to a mere instrument. On the other hand, let us say for example, on the other hand ha, may mga instances po, wives, husbands caught their spouse having carnal knowledge or having sexual intercourse with another person. To the point na yung asawa po pinatay yung paramour or yung kabit. Sa batas po natin may punishment yan. We call it as destierro. But you are not exempted. Wala pong exemption under the criminal liability kasi may punishment po yan. Destierro. Pero again, pag ang commission of the killing or yung pag-perform ng killing is after the sexual intercourse, let us say, during carnal knowledge po, let us say, you waited for 2 hours and then you kill somebody, automatic, that may fall from murder or homicide. Okay? So, dapat po on the act. Pero may punishment again po yan, distiero, just to clarify things up. Panglima, any person who acts under the impulse of uncontrollable fear of an equal or greater injury. Ang keywords po dito, equal dapat. Equal or greater injury. Uncontrollable fear, offender employs intimidation or threat in compelling another to commit a crime. Duress, use of violence or physical force. Elements po natin, the threat, which cause the fear is of an evil greater than or at least equal to that which is required to commit. And then, it promises an evil of such gravity and imminence that an ordinary man would have succumbed to it. For example, let us say, Pedro drew his firearm .45 caliber, and the muzzle of the firearm was aimed against your forehead. Ang instruction ni Pedro, ang sabi niya, you sign the document. Diba? You sign the document. Let us say forgery. I-forge mo ang document. Because if you will not forge it, I will pull the trigger. Question, what will you do? Of course, as a normal person, you will forge the document. But you will not be guilty or you should not be liable for forgery simply because you acted under uncontrollable fear. Okay? Note, duress to be valid defense should be based on real, imminent, or reasonable fear for one's life or limb. It should not be inspired by a speculative, fanciful, or remote fear. A threat of future injury is not enough. Actus me in vito factus non est meus actus. Any act done by me against my will is not my act. That is a Latin word, di ba? Mga criminology students, mahilig tayo sa Latin, ha? Mga law students, mahilig din po yan, yung mga law students po. May marami po tayo mga Latin words. Sabi dito, actus me in vito factus non est meus actus. Ibig sabihin, any act done by me against my will is not my act. Okay? So, tinutukan ka ng baril, nag-forge ka ng document, kasi pag hindi ka mag-forge, babarilin ka. So, what will you do? Of course, you have to forge the document. But then again, when time comes, during court trial, you will be exempted. Kasi nasa number 5 yan, exempting circumstances, you acted under uncontrollable fear. Okay? Number 6, any person who fails to perform an act required by law when prevented by some lawful insuperable cause. Ano may ibig sabihin na insuperable cause? Some motive which has lawfully, morally, or physically prevented a person to do what the law commands. Elements. An act is required by law to be done. A person fails to perform such act. His failure to perform such act was due to some lawful or insuperable cause. O example. Nilagyan ko na ng example para mas maintindihan mga kadete under number 6. Number 1, a priest can't be compelled to reveal what was confessed to him. Nasa privileged communication po yan, ha. No available transportation officer not liable for arbitrary detention. Mother who was overcome by severe dizziness and extreme debility, leaving child to die, not liable for infanticide. Kasi naging dizzy, nakatulog eh. Let us say for example, supina juris tecum or supina ad testificandum. Supina ad testificandum na lang. You have been called by the court, you have been ordered to testify on a particular date and place of trial. Pero, on the occasion or on the date that you are about to appear in the court, may nangyari. Let us say, bumaha. Ang yung distansya mo from the court, let us say, 100 kilometers. And there is impossibility on your part to cross from your residence going to the court where the trial will happen kasi may nagkabaha eh. May catastrophe, natural catastrophe. In that case, it is something that will prevent you from a lawful insuperable cause. Basically, you will be exempted from contempt. Okay? Kasi may mga insuperable cause po. Okay? So, Yon ang mga circumstances. By the way, ito pong last absolutory causes. Where the act committed is a crime but for some reason of public policy and sentiment, there is no penalty imposed. Exempting and justifying circumstances are absolutory causes. I repeat, absolutory causes po ang tawag sa exempting and justifying circumstances. Kasi po, ang isang act considered as a crime but for some reason, hindi po pwedeng i-impose yung penalty. So, absolutory causes ang exempting and justifying circumstances. Examples of such other circumstances are spontaneous desistance, accessories exempt from criminal liability, death or physical injuries inflicted under exceptional circumstances, persons exempt from criminal liability from theft, swindling, malicious mischief. I would like to concentrate with 4 and 5 kasi yung 1, 2, and 3 na-discuss na po yan. Yung number 4, persons exempt from criminal liability from theft, swindling, malicious mischief. Ang wife mo po, yung husband mo, is basically exempted from these crimes against property. For example, nagnakaw po yung asawa mo, yung wife mo. For example, nag-order ng product online, Shopee or Lazada, and she has no money. When you go to work, it so happened that your wallet was left behind inside your room. Ang ginawa ng asawa, kinuha yung, let us say, 5,000 pesos without your permission. Without your permission, question, may qualified theft bang nangyayari dyan? May robbery ba? Wala. Kasi po, ang wife is basically exempted from theft, swindling, malicious mischief. Exempted po yan. Yung husband din po is also exempted. The same. Number 5, instigation. Instigation is also an exemption. An exemption po. Ano bang pagkakaiba ng instigation at an entrapment? Entrapment is not an absolutory cause. Ibig sabihin, sa entrapment, pag na-entrap ka po, for example, drug buy-bust operation, it's a form of entrapment. Automatic, yung nakitaan na may droga will be arrested and will be penalized. Pero sa instigation kasi, ang instigation kasi is something that you perform an act which is criminal or crime in nature but you perform it out of obedience. Okay? So, tuloy po natin. A buy-bust operation conducted in connection with illegal drug-related offenses is a form of entrapment. Entrapment from instigation. The ways and means are resorted to for the purpose of trapping and capturing the lawbreaker in the execution of his criminal plan, that is entrapment, while the instigator practically induces the would-be accused into the commission of the offense and himself becomes a co-principal. Let's say, for example, you're a police officer. You tell somebody, sinabihan mo, you buy a methamphetamine hydrochloride. You buy a shabu. So, it's an order coming from you. When the person followed your order and he bought a shabu, you arrested him. It's not entrapment, but rather it's considered as an instigation. Instigation is an exemption under the law. In entrapment, not a bar to accuse, prosecution, and conviction. While in instigation, accused will be acquitted. Acquitted ha. Entrapment is not absolutory cause, while instigation is an absolutory cause. So, absolutory cause ang instigation and says that the person will not be penalized. Okay. Now, the third one is mitigating circumstances. Sa exempting, ito po yung mga circumstances that would exempt a person from any criminal liability. Yung justifying naman, yun po ang mga acts that are in accordance with the law, although it is considered as a crime, but then again, the person's actions is considered as justified, therefore, no criminal liability. Ito, mitigating, from the word mitigate, ibig sabihin po, those which if present in the commission of the crime reduces the penalty of the crime but does not erase criminal liability nor change the nature of the crime. Ibig sabihin, mitigate po na reduce po yung penalty. Okay? Na-reduce po yung penalty due to some circumstances. Unang circumstance, Incomplete justifying or exempting circumstances. Ibig sabihin po, yung mga elements or requirements present in exempting and justifying circumstances are not all of them present. Hindi lahat po ng mga requisites are present. For example, in a self-defense, di po ba, ang kailanganin po is unlawful aggression. Unlawful aggression, the lack of sufficient provocation, yung pang-last is reasonable necessity of the means employed to prevent or repel the unlawful aggression. Remember though that in self-defense, defense of relatives or stranger, unlawful aggression must always be present as it is it is an indispensable requirement. Pero sabi ko po kanina, yung battered woman syndrome yung battered woman syndrome where a wife stabbed to death her husband pag-uwi from work, basically on that occasion wala pong unlawful aggression. Nangyari po yung unlawful aggression prior po, considering that she was a battered woman. Pero on the case or on the occasion of killing, wala, considering po exemption po yan sa ang battered woman syndrome. But in other cases po, ang unlawful aggression is indispensable requirement. Dapat andyan po yan. So the lack of one requisite or requirement sa justifying circumstances, pwede po ma-fall siya sa mitigating circumstances. Number 2, under 18, yung nag-commit ng krimen 15 years old and 1 day to 17 with discernment. Mitigating circumstance po yan. Over 70 years old, ibig sabihin, ang mga matatanda po, yung elderly po natin, yung mga senior po natin is basically may mitigating circumstance po sila. Remember that the age of the accused is determined by his age during the commission of the crime, not during the conviction or not during the trial. So, ibig sabihin, pag nag-commit siya ng krimen, 71 years old, automatic mitigating circumstance. Pero pag ang tao is 50 years old, example lang, tapos he has been convicted, 71 years old, walang mitigating circumstance kasi po nangyari yung krimen when he was aging 50 years old. So dapat po ang actual age of the person during the commission of the crime is considered to be a factor. Number 3, no intention to commit so grave a wrong can be used only when the proven facts show that there is notable and event disproportion between the means employed to execute the criminal act and its consequences. Factors are weapons used, injury inflicted, part of the body injured, mindset of the offender at the time of the commission of the crime. So, no intention to commit so grave a wrong. For example, you punch a person in the face. Your purpose or the purpose of punching him was to teach him a lesson. But unfortunately, on the act of punching, when the person was hit, it so happened that the person collapsed and he died. In that case, yung purpose mo was just to hit him with a fist. But in the person, ang consequence niya is death. Pero ang intention mo is just to, to teach him a lesson. In that case, mitigating circumstance po yan. Note, in crimes against persons, if victim does not die, the absence of the intent to kill reduces the felony to mere physical injuries. Yung sinuntok mo yung tao, he did not die, wala pong mitigating circumstance dyan. Ma-fall siya sa, it could either be less serious physical injuries or serious physical injuries. Pero pag namatay siya, and your point of punching him is just to teach him a lesson, pero ang nangyari, namatay, in that case, automatic, mitigating circumstance po. It is not considered as a mitigating, it is mitigating only when the victim dies. Klaro po yan mga kadete. Next, number 4, provocation or threat. Any unjust or improper conduct or act of the offended party capable of exciting, inciting, or irritating anyone. You call the person as boy buktot or boy bakol or boy kawatan. Tapos, the person got angered by such provocation, and then you have been murdered, you have been killed. automatic mitigating circumstance yan. Pero ang provocation must be considered as sufficient. It must originate from the offended party, must be immediate to the commission of the crime by the person who is provoked. Pag pinalo ka several times, pinalo ka, binubuli ka ng kaibigan mo, pinapalo ka in front of the public, and that causes anger on you. That you have been provoked thereof. It's basically a mitigating circumstance. Threat should not be offensive and positively strong. Otherwise, it would be an unlawful aggression which may give rise to self-defense and thus no longer a mitigating circumstance. So dapat po ang threat dito po is not that offensive or positively strong. Okay? Provocation or threat mitigating circumstance po. Number 5, vindication of grave offense. Requirements, una. A grave offense done to the one committing the felony, his spouse, ascendants, legitimate, natural, or adopted brothers or sisters or relatives by affinity within the same degrees. The felony is committed an immediate vindication of such grave offense. For short, parang blood feud. Pinatay yung brother mo by this family, so you want to hit back. Pinatay mo din yung member of that family. It's a mitigating circumstance, vindication of grave offense. Immediate allows for a lapse of time as long as the offender is still suffering from the mental agony brought by the offense to him. So, ang immediate po dito, hindi ibig sabihin 24 hours. Ang immediate po is when you still suffer the agony because of the pain, because of the suffering brought by these people, by the perpetrator. So, basically, mitigating circumstance po yan. Number 6, passion or obfuscation. Ano ba ibig sabihin na obfuscation? When you say passion or obfuscation, this is a state of being hot-blooded, or you are on the affix of rage or anger or resentment. Yung sinasabi mo na dumilim po yung paningin ko when I committed the crime out of anger. It's basically passion or obfuscation. So, let us say, it is as if I was possessed by a demon when I committed the crime because I did not know what I was doing. It's basically passion or obfuscation. Offender acted upon an impulse. The impulse must be powerful that it naturally produce passion or obfuscation in him. Act must have been committed not in the spirit of lawlessness or revenge. Hindi po revenge or lawlessness. Act must come from lawful sentiments. So, to differentiate, ang passion of obfuscation is different from irresistible force. Kasi pag passion of obfuscation or obfuscation po yan, mitigating circumstance. Pero irresistible force is considered as exempting circumstance. Kuha niyo po, exempting circumstance yung irresistible force, pero yung passion or obfuscation is basically a mitigating circumstance. Number 2, passion or obfuscation, no physical force needed. Walang physical force na kailanganin. Pero sa irresistible force, passion of obfuscation, no physical force. But in irresistible force, it requires physical force. Okay? For example, ang sabi ko po kanina, a syndicate ask you to hid the dead body of the person. So wala kang choice. Kasi if you will not do it, probably you will be killed or you will be murdered. So you hid the dead body. It's basically an irresistible force. Number 3, passion and obfuscation must come from the offender himself, while the irresistible force must come from the third person. Klarong-klaro po yan ha. Ang passion or obfuscation must come from the offender. Mismo sa kanya, yung nagalit ka, yung nagdilim yung paningin mo, yung it is as if you have been possessed by a demon out of rage or anger. Passion or obfuscation. So irresistible force is not coming from you, but rather from the other person. Let us say the third person bringing with him a firearm, asking you to hit the body. The force comes from that person, not from you. Number 4, passion or obfuscation must come from lawful sentiments, while irresistible force is considered to be lawful. Number 7 and the last, surrender and confession of guilt, automatic mitigating circumstance din po yan. Now, must be spontaneous ha. When you say spontaneous, right after it has been committed, then you go to the police station, showing the intent of the accused to submit himself unconditionally to the authorities, either because, number 1, he acknowledges his guilt, or number 2, he wishes to save them the trouble and expense necessarily incurred in a search and capture. So, automatic mitigating. Note, if both are present, nag-surrender ka, tapos nag-confess ka pa, two independent mitigating circumstances po yan. Ibig sabihin, ma-mitigate ka due to the act of surrendering, plus may mitigation din because of your act of confession. Diba? Dalawa. Further mitigates penalty, plea made after arraignment and after trial has begun does not entitle the accused to the mitigating circumstance. Pag ang plea mo, di ba, during arraignment, sabihin mo, it could either be guilty or not guilty. Pag sabi mo not guilty, and you wanted to change it into guilty, into a guilty plea, so long as wala pa pong trial, mitigating circumstance. Pero pag ang trial has already begun, wala na pong mitigating circumstance. However, may lusot pa. If accused pleaded not guilty, even if during arraignment, he is entitled to mitigating circumstance as long as he withdraws his plea of not guilty to the charge before the fiscal could present his evidence. Ibig sabihin, ang plea mo during arraignment not guilty. Hindi pa nakapag-present ng evidence yung prosecutor. Nag-withdraw ka, sinabi mo guilty. Ibig sabihin, may mitigating circumstance ka. Pangalawa, yung plea mo is not guilty. Hindi pa nakapag-start yung trial. Nag-withdraw ka. Ginawa mong guilty. It's basically a mitigating circumstance. Pero pag nag-start na yung trial, nakapag-present na ng evidence yung prosecutor, tapos you withdraw your plea, automatic. Walang mitigating circumstance. Plea to a lesser charge is not a mitigating circumstance because to be such, the plea of guilt must be to the offense charge. Okay? So, hindi pwedeng sabihin mo na, Sir, I plead that I am guilty of slight physical injury. Tapos yung kaso is serious physical. You cannot say that. So, again, plea to a lesser charge is not a mitigating circumstance. Now, ang second to the last circumstances is known as aggravating circumstances. Pag ang mitigating, reduce yung penalty. Itong aggravating, from the word aggravate po, yung penalty po will be added or will be imposed in its maximum period. Yan po ang difference between the two. It's opposite po ang aggravating sa mitigating circumstances. So these are the circumstances under aggravating. Number 1, that advantage to be taken by the offender of his public position. Ibig sabihin, yung tao po is a public officer who committed the crime and he committed thereof as an advantage to his position in the government. For example, police officer ka, tapos you committed let us say, violation of Republic Act 9165, you have been involved in a, let us say, yung tinatawag nating holy dap. For example, ang na-holy nyo is 100 kilos of shabu, but you only declare, let us say, 50 kilograms. It's basically taking advantage on your public position. So, aggravating po yan. The crime be committed in contempt or with insult to the public authorities. The act be committed with abuse of confidence or obvious ungratefulness. That the crime be committed in the palace of the chief executive or in his presence or where public authorities are engaged in the discharge of their duties or in a place dedicated to religious worship. So, pwede po maka-aggravate po yan. For example, let us say, mayor lang. Then you committed a crime in front of the mayor and that could be an insult to the public authorities. Binigyan ka ng payo ng mayor not to commit it but still you execute the felonious act. Aggravating circumstance din po yan. Or, you committed a crime in a dedicated religious, in a dedicated place to religious worship. Number 6, that the crime be committed in the nighttime or in an uninhabited place or by a band. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng band under aggravating circumstance? 3, more than 3 ha. Whenever more than 3 armed malefactors shall have acted together with the commission of an offense. Ilan po ba? More than 3. So ilan ba yung more than 3? At least 4. Armed. Ang nakalagay ha, armed malefactors. Okay? Ban po ang tawag. Next, number 7. That the crime be committed on the occasion of a conflagration, shipwreck, earthquake, epidemic, or other calamity or misfortune. For example, nagkabagyo, catastrophic, natural catastrophe. Tapos, nagnakaw to take advantage on the occasion. It's considered as aggravating circumstance. That the crime be committed with the aid of armed men. That's understandable. That the accused is a recidivist. Ano ba yung definition ng recidivist? Is one who at the time of his trial for one crime shall have been previously convicted by final judgment of another crime embraced in the same title of this code. So, may mga types of offenders po tayo. For example, we have recidivism, quasi-recidivism, habitual delinquent, and reiteration or habituality. Sa recidivism, ang definition po dito, you have been convicted of the previous crime. Unang requirement po yan. Pangalawang requirement, you committed another crime or the same crime embraced of the same title of the revised penal code. So for short, pag guilty ka, convicted ka because of murder, after serving the prison sentence of murder, you committed another crime. Murder is crimes against person. Any crime as long as crimes against persons na title, ang pangalawang krimen mo, for example, you committed homicide. Homicide and murder, nakalagay yan sa isang title, crimes against person, automatically recidivism. Number 10, that the crime can be committed or that the crime be committed in consideration of a price, reward, or a promise. For example, mga assassinations, you perpetuate the act because you will be given, let us say, 50,000 pesos. Yun nangyayari sa Negros. That's an example. That the crime be committed by means of inundation, fire, poison, explosion, so on and so forth. Aggravating circumstances po yan. That the craft, fraud, or disguise be employed. Aggravating din po. Number 13, that advantage be taken of superior strength or means be employed to weaken the defense. Advantage to be taken of a superior strength. It could be on the physical size. It could be on the nature of the weapon wherein you can gain superior strength. Number 14, that the act be committed with treachery or alevosía. Treachery or alevosía. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng treachery? When the offender commits any of the crimes against the person, employing means, methods, or forms in the execution thereof, which tend directly and specifically to ensure its execution without risk to himself arising from the defense which the offended party might take. So ginagawa niya, piniperform yung isang act in order to kill somebody at the same time to make himself safer. For example, you put a poison inside the glass or inside the drink of the individual. It's basically a form of treachery. Number 15, unlawful entry. An entrance of a crime, a wall, roof, floor, door, or window be broken. It's also an aggravating circumstance. Number 16, that the wrong done in the commission of the crime be deliberately augmented by causing other wrong or not necessary for its commission. Like say for example, nagnakaw ka, after nagnakaw, you break the windows. Even it's not necessary, just break the windows or you just make other acts that could destroy properties. When you commit robbery or theft. It's basically an act that is deliberately augmented. So, yun po ang mga aggravating circumstances po natin. Now, ang last po na circumstance, itong tinatawag nating alternative. circumstance. Ito po ang pinaka-last. Ang alternative circumstance, ito po yung which must be taken into consideration as aggravating or mitigating according to the nature and effects of the crime and other conditions attending its commission. For short, pag titingnan mo po, you cannot automatically say that this is mitigating or this is aggravating. You just have to take a look on the nature of the crime first before you could say that it can be a mitigating circumstance or an aggravating circumstance. For short, alternative circumstance is something that could shift from one circumstance to the other. It could be an mitigating or it could be an alternative circumstance. For example, intoxication of the offender. It shall be considered as a mitigating circumstance pag ang offender po has committed a felony in the state of intoxication, knowing that the person is not a habitual drunkard. Okay? Mitigating po siya. Pero pag habitual drunkard po siya, intentional po yung pagka-drunkard niya, and he committed a crime, ay basically becomes aggravating. So intoxication is basically an alternative circumstance. Kasi po, pwede siyang ma-mitigating, pwede siyang ma-aggravating, depende po sa nature ng krimen. Okay? Sige. When relationship, mitigating, and when aggravating. As rule, relationship is mitigating in crimes against property. Okay? Crimes against property, automatic mitigating yan. By analogy to the provisions of Article 332. Thus, relationship is mitigating in crimes of robbery, usurpation, fraudulent insolvency, and arson. However, in crimes against persons, relationship is considered to be an aggravating against persons when? Where the offended party is a relative of a higher degree than the offender. Higher degree than the offender. Again, higher degree po yung relative than the offender. When the offender and the offended party are relatives to the same level, for example, brothers, brothers, it becomes aggravating. Your brother killing another sibling is an aggravating circumstance po because of relationship. Ang number one again, higher degree than the offender. Ibig sabihin po, yung offended party, let's say, between aunt and nephew. Saan po ba yung higher degree than the offender? Let's say ang offender is nephew. Basically, mas higher yung aunt. Mas higher yung uncle. In terms of consanguinity. So in this case, ma-aggravating circumstance po yan. Sunod. Okay? Next is when relationship mitigating and when aggravating. Continuous po, continuation po ito. But when it comes to physical injuries, it is aggravating when the crime involves serious physical injuries. Even if the offended party is a descendant of the offender. Take note sa serious physical injuries, automatic aggravating. But the serious physical injuries must not be inflicted by a parent upon his child by excessive chastisement. It is mitigating when the offense committed is less serious physical injuries or slight physical injuries if the offended party is a relative of a lower degree. It is aggravating if the offended party is a relative of a higher degree of the offender. So yun po. Then, letter C, when the crime is homicide or murder, a relationship is aggravating even if the victim of the crime is a relative of a lower degree. Basta, pag homicide or murder ang pinag-usapan. Next, in rape, relationship is always an aggravating circumstance. Aggravating where a stepfather rape his stepdaughter or in case where a father rape his own daughter. Automatic aggravating sa rape. So, next, in crimes against chastity like acts of lasciviousness, relationship is always aggravating. Just like murder and homicide, mga kadete, aggravating po yan. Regardless of whether the offender is a relative of a higher or lower degree, when the qualification given to the crime is derived from the relationship between the offender and the offended party, it is neither mitigating nor aggravating because it is inseparable from and inherent in the offense. For example, parricide, adultery, and concubinage. So automatic po yan ha. Again, one thing that you have to remember here, pag crimes against chastity like act of lasciviousness, ang relationship po is aggravating. Next, balikan natin ang intoxication. Intoxication again, magiging mitigating siya pag ang tao is not a habitual drunkard. Pero pag habitual drunkard po siya and he committed a crime, automatic aggravating. Pero pag hindi habitual drunkard, tapos he committed a crime, magiging mitigating po ang circumstance. Next, to be entitled to the mitigating circumstance of intoxication, it must be shown, number 1, that at the time of the commission of the criminal act, the accused has taken such quantity of alcoholic drinks as to blur his reason and deprive him of a certain degree of control. Number 2, that such intoxication is not habitual or subsequent to the plan to commit the felony. Sa number 1 po, dapat sufficient po yung alcohol. Pag nag-inom ka lang ng isang baso, you committed a crime. Nako, it does not blur. It does not cloud your reason. Ang kailanganin po dito for the alcohol or for the person to be in the mitigating circumstance, dapat po uminom siya sufficient that could cloud, that could blur the reason or yung voluntariness of the act. Okay? So, mitigating. To be mitigating, the accused state of intoxication must be proved. Once intoxication is established by satisfactory evidence, in the absence of proof to the contrary, it is presumed to be non-habitual or unintentional. Ano pong sabi dito? Pag na-establish po by satisfactory evidence, tapos wala pong proof or evidence that will dispute such claim, presume po na ang tao is non-habitual or unintentional po. So basically, magiging mitigating. This is the last topic of the second episode. Yung iba po, ilagay natin sa episode 3 tsaka sa episode 4 para at least we can relax also. At the same time, makarelax din po ako because it takes a lot of time in editing and in uploading the videos. But I'm going to see you in episode 3 on episode 3 and on episode 4 para at least po makontinue natin ang lahat po ng discussion. Maraming salamat po sa nagtangkilik. God bless everyone.